Hello and welcome. It's Jim Motke speaking, bringing you live to Creative Photo Composition, and I am so happy to have you here. I, like you, love photography. I am a professional photography enthusiast, and I'm the owner of BetterPhoto.com, and that gives me the distinct privilege of welcoming millions of people to the wonderful world of photography, like you're enjoying right now. And if you're in a place where you would just like to get more outstanding photos, more photos that just stun your viewers, you know, the photos that give you the oh and the ah kind of response, you're in the right place. And this is a simple, easy, effective way to learn. You're going to be walking away from this course knowing exactly how to shoot, when to shoot, how to compose it, and what's more, you're going to be able to share what you learn with others, with friends that you go out shooting with. And you're going to be able to increase the volume of stunning photos that you get on any given shoot. Nowadays, when I go out, I just have fun. And I remember how it was in the beginning. I would struggle. I would have a hard time. I would feel like I was kind of pulling my hair out trying to get these artistic photos like the pros. But then I learned one step at a time, and I gradually applied these techniques. And now when I go out photographing, not only do I get lots of great shots and have a good time, but I feel confident in the moment. You know, the way I like to express it is I forget to be unhappy. I'm out there shooting and I'm just having a great time, and my yield is something that I want to just share with everybody. Help you get a yield of photos that are outstanding, eye-catching images. So in today's photo course, we're going to be talking about composition, and we're going to be, dealing with some of the basics. We're going to be studying all sorts of ideas like moving in closer and placing your subject according to the rule of thirds. If you haven't heard of the rule of thirds, fantastic, powerful technique. It's a classic principle that you can apply to your photos, and you'll be learning about it in the workbook, and I'll be speaking about it in these videos. If you do know of the rule of thirds, I just ask, are you using it? Are you using it effectively all the time to make great images that look a little bit different, a little bit more unique and eye-catching? So this is where we're going to go. We're going to look at point of view. You're going to understand how getting down very, very low can greatly increase the power of your photo because it's so unusual. Everybody photographs at a typical human height, and that can cause your photos to look just like everybody else's. So if you want to stand out, you can get down very low or very high. We're going to be talking in this course about lenses and focal length, so you can have a mastery, a sense of full control over which lens to use for which situation. And we're going to be talking about photographing certain subjects like people and pets, what I really love to photograph now. You know, when I first started photographing, I loved travel. That's how I got into photography. And then I did outdoor portraits and weddings. And from there, I got fascinated by nature and landscapes and macro photography. And now that my wife and I have adopted 3 kids, it's kids all the time. I just love photographing our children and our pet puppy. And I still go out and photograph nature, landscapes, adventure, travel whenever I can because, like I said in the beginning, I just love photography. Before I go any further, I just want to introduce you to me a little bit. Here's a couple photos of me. The one on the left is taken by one of my master instructors at BetterPhoto.com, Jim Zuckerman. And, my story, I'll give you the nutshell version of it. Basically, I got into photography, like I said, because of travel. When my wife and I went on a trip, a 7-week trip of England, Scotland, and France, just after graduating from college, we explored all sorts of fun things, and we combined bicycling with the trains. We took our bikes along, and we had a great time. But then when we got home, I was devastated by the poor quality of my photos. I had been studying photography lightly, casually, up until that point, but that was the catalyst for me to get it in gear. And I just dove in, and I'm a self-taught photographer. I bought all sorts of books by photographers that I admire. And I studied and I practiced. And I remember back in those days I was photographing slides and negative film. And when I'd photograph slides, I'd carry around a little notepad so I could write down what settings I used, and then when I got the slides back from the lab several weeks later, I would be able to compare the certain technique with the settings that I used. Nowadays with digital photography, we have a tremendous advantage that all of the information, all of the settings are stored in the photo, so we can always pull up the shutter speed, aperture, focal length, ISO. We can find out how the photo was created. But back in the old days, I had to just manually capture it. And I gradually learned one step at a time, and I just continued this love with photography. And then one day, I was working in my 26th job. I counted them up one time, and it was my 26th job, and I was helping a friend out with carpentry. And another friend, a friend of my wife's, came over and she visited, and she showed us this thing that she was doing for her master's thesis, graduating from the University of Virginia. And she was making a website. Now this was back in 1996, back when this first inklings of the web were just coming out. People started calling it the information superhighway. And I saw this new thing to me called a website, and I just flipped out. I loved it. I was so inspired. I saw someone putting their own words and their own photos together without the permission or the approval of an editor or a publisher, and I got so excited. I rushed right out and I got HTML for Dummies, and I learned how to create a photo site. And in the book, the author talked about doing what you love and writing about what you're passionate about. And I've always believed in that principle. Do what you love and everything will follow. And I decided, going off of that advice, that I wouldn't just do, another, I don't know, corporate website or a personal homepage. I decided, you know what, I really love photography, so I posted my top 10 photography tips. And people started emailing in questions, and I started answering them. And one thing led to another, and before I knew it, I had a website that was getting hundreds of thousands of visitors. And I just kept fueling the flame of my enjoyment of photography, and now today we get millions, over 5 million unique visitors to the site every year. I've written 7 books on photography, the Better Photo Guide 2 series, as well as Better Photo Basics, and I'm just having a great time taking pictures. Like I said, I'm a professional photography enthusiast like you, and in this course we're going to cover the basics that you need to know in order to get outstanding, artistic, eye-catching photos each and every time you go out shooting. You can do it. It's very possible. It's actually easy once you have these principles in your tool belt. You have these things that you can refer to and just think about it. So every time you're shooting, you're taking a horizontal shot and you just remember, oh yeah, I need to try a vertical shot as well. That's just one simple tool. And you put it into practice, and you take out another tool out of your tool belt in a different situation, or you take them all out and try all of the techniques on one scene. And then you're bound to walk away with some really beautiful photos. So without further ado, let's get into the next video where I'll start talking about some of the photos that I've shot, and I'll give you a before photo and an after photo so you can learn through my experiences how to create better photos every time. This is Jim Motke, the owner of BetterPhoto.com, and I'll see you in the next video.